very difficult for ENCE to contest.
I think I started playing League when I was 11. I mean, my initial impression was not very good. I thought it was kind of weird. Wait, why did I actually keep playing it? I don't remember. It's the only game that I've ever played that I can actually like spam, for example, for a whole day. A good thing about League is that it always change. What makes for me able to play it like throughout the day is that I can always change something up a bit and try something new. Whereas other games, I feel like sometimes it just is stuck in a circle. I mean, you should play League because it's a fun team game. You can play together with friends, and you can always find a 5-man to join up a normal when you just begin and learn to play the game. And then when you get level 30, you will get a ticket to ranked, and then you can't stop again.
We'll catch down simply as Wonderboy looks to stick some more damage in. The Nexus has been left exposed, and with that, Riddle will take down ENCE.
Great to hear from Stankux. They're obviously just getting the win, but also it's nice to hear some of the motivators behind why these guys are so invested in League of Legends and why they're here today. So, really nice little insight into Stankux's mind, and obviously getting a huge win over XL in that previous game. Now let's move on. I think obviously we could talk about that XL Riddle game all day if we really wanted to, but we have 3 more games coming your way, starting off with MNM versus Dusty. Now both teams, I think, are going to draw the ire of our analysts over the next couple of minutes. Let's start with MNM. Obviously the big story is Monk changing to the mid lane. Kick me off here. Like this was something that came into draft last week, and that started off immediately. Like, so let's start with that.
Yeah, I mean, we actually talked briefly early on about how Monk, he seems to believe he can play everything. We expect him to prioritize Azir TF, and they immediately banned Azir TF. He was heavily targeted in all 3 bans in draft, and it didn't seem to really do MNM that much good across the other roles.
I feel like too that, yeah, as you said, they go through with 3 bans there, and despite that, we do see that we have an interesting jungle pick through aesthetic here, because I feel like with 3 losing lanes on his Graves, he was still able to apply a lot of pressure to that point where he was not even out jungling through XP, so he's always in the lane. But to me, the big difference from MNM was that when Monk is absorbing 3 solo lane spans to himself and is getting punished for it, because obviously his champion pool is not that big yet, I feel like the rest of the MNM squad should show up, but we started to see only weak side draft on red side team too. We saw that we had a 6 and a Nautilus just completely getting dumpstered to Kalista Thresh too. So for me, there's something wrong with identifying themselves at the moment, but also how they actually want to play. But I did see some glimmers of hope through. I did see some nice Herald rotations, how they wanted to play through their win condition with the Satchel Charge and 6 too. The thing is though, it's just coming in too late in play when the game is finally on.
Yeah, I think you sort of nailed the point though about the Monk with the 3 bans. We hope to expect more, but Monk didn't look too sharp in the mid lane. He played, I mean, Corki can typically scale well, but he played it very scaling with the first buy on the tier and got challenged in the mid lane. We saw Kakar in the top lane not have a stellar game, and Kalera seemed really off with his rotations when Aesthetic was the only member who really had a good performance. You would hope that the support could be there to help facilitate that, but it just seemed he was at the wrong place at the wrong time, wasn't on pace with these rotations, and as a result, it really felt a little bit like Aesthetic versus the world. And I'm hoping if they're going to have success in this game, that the rest of the team can really start stepping up.
Even on that last point though, like, it's not as if Aesthetic was doing this entirely on his own. Like, a lot of it was because Maxtor was, even though he's playing the Kindred, heavily prioritized ganks. He did a free camp clear into top gank, into mid gank, into bot scuttle, not even attempting to double scuttle Aesthetic. What happens when he starts going against junglers that are much more punishing them, like any of the top 4 junglers? Maxi's definitely just made a statement. Do we really see Aesthetic surviving? It's difficult to tell. His lanes have collapsed already. Maybe he didn't collapse, but he himself didn't find himself the target of all of that pressure. So a lot of questions with MNM, and I do hope they step it up, because Dusty is a different monster than what they've already faced.
Yeah, I think going on with MNM, I've kind of been talking to you guys about it, and you really just feel like that really they may just be outclassed in every respect here. And MNM are definitely a team that, with the caliber of players, that you know they could on a good day be looking to contest for some of the upper slots in the NLC. Is there a way that you see them unlocking and actually taking Dusty on in this matchup? Where would we have to look towards MNM if they were actually going to pick up a win?
hard aggression early on. That's what we've seen Dusty be vulnerable to, and that's what they should try to do. And it's not like Monk was a passive player and he was AD carry. Difficult to tell what kind of player he is in the mid lane, but he definitely wasn't saying no to any of these early fights, was he? So there is still some of that aggression in there. Aesthetic is an intelligent jungler, especially around his preferred champ pool, which honestly is the Kindred, the Graves, all this kind of stuff. So maybe they should just try to take the fight to Dusty early on. That's how we saw them thrown off kilter last time that Dusty played. That would be what my recommended strategy to them.
I feel like it's just easier too as well if you want to go full out aggressive, because they did look a bit uncertain about the way they wanted to be playing, but they do have players that like being aggressive. Like Aesthetic always been known for a jungler that really just wanted to get in there, take a lead for himself, and I do feel like that you have an aggressive mid laner in Monk, even though he's not quite shown it yet. I feel like that just as a player in general, he just wants to get in there too, right? You got some players that in general down with Barcode and Kill Hero. We've all known Barcode if you followed him for a long time with his old YouTube videos and the communication, that they are players that will be willing to push themselves, but we just haven't seen it yet either. And I feel like if you gotta bring it out, you gotta bring it out now, because with the form you showed last week, you're not gonna get very far.
Yeah,
Well,
I think as well, when we look at the state of the group, there is a kind of a top 4 at the moment, and I think MNM, if they need to step up, if they're going to be able to challenge that and make it into the playoffs.
Honestly, Dan, you are more important than Break, so definitely, I'm definitely okay with that. But saying that, we do have to cut to a quick break. When we're back, we will get into picks and bans between MNM and Dusty.
Takes me places that I never dreamed that I would go, and how it touches me, touches me, touches
bloodshot eyes. Another ocean opens wide. Our love is sick but still alive. Then all our hearts would radiate and melt the sadness we create. Only then could we survive. Let's turn around before we drown. Singing, hey, this love is all around us.
Picks and bans are ready. MNM versus Dusty, and we are getting a Draven ban followed by Graves here. Now, obviously, Monk drew 3 bans in the previous game that he was in, followed by Lulu here, so shaking things up.
Okay, so obviously target bans towards Jack Spectre, very, very famous for his Draven. If it wasn't for P-Star Zillion, everybody would just talk about Jack Spectre's Draven non-stop. The Tristana ban is targeted against Monk. We aren't seeing a TF ban, and we aren't seeing a Nazir ban, which is very good for them. Azir would probably be the one that you'd beg to be left open if you were MNM. It is the most blind pickable out of all of them, though I do think TF is a very strong pick right now, despite the results of the last game. So I think Monk would be happy with any of them. Not sure about the Syndra ban here. If Monk can't even play Syndra right now, that would be a bit of a BG on the side of MNM. Let's see how it goes.
Especially because we've seen Barcode play mages already with the 6, so if it's your mid laner who's not comfortable on playing 6, that's a bit unlucky, let's just say it from there. But we do have some power picks open up. I was about to say Thresh, but Dusty instantly removes it. Esro, Karma, Aphelios, some of the names we've really talked about throughout the last week and this week, are still up and available should you go for it. We saw an Esro first pick beforehand with the BTXL game. I do feel like he's one of the safest and more better scaling AD carries down towards it. And our first Volibear is actually going to come through.
Okay, Volibear, essentially a version of Renekton that doesn't have straight point and click CC. It is a very, very powerful pick though, and we see the TF coming out of Dusty with the Yuumi. That's a very potent combination in and of itself, but Ezreal is still up, Aphelios is still up. They can pair a lot of AD carries with it. Varus is still up, actually, I just realized, and no one's bothered picking that up yet. There are so many power picks up, but Yuumi on the side of Dusty, Yuumi plus any of them, you have to think that's a modifier in their favor.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are on 10.12 on this current patch. So there was some slight nerfs towards that poke virus. But they're going the Callista here. So looking to punish if it isn't Ezreal.
Into TF.
Pressure him in the lane. But I'm not too convinced by this with what's up on the other side. I feel like Dusty kind of coming out ahead in this first rotation.
I mean, a Callista into the Twisted Fate, that's normally a really, really good response to a Callista rotation. Immediate targeted CC is the bane of Callista's existence. You basically have to invest into your QSS right now to function properly. The Ezreal has been selected by Dusty. They have the Ezreal, they have the Yuumi, they have the Death Stance, they have a targeted CC versus Callista. They have the range to be able to get Ezreal through the lane, even if he will be pressured. MNM have to do something early on with the pressure that they will get from the Callista lane if they want anything done in this game.
Exactly, but that was also what we were missing from them. We said we wanted that early aggression from them, and that was what they most likely could have a chance against Dusty win too. So I'm happy to see them on some early aggression rather than just default into a weak side 6 where you really couldn't make it work. Now I'm just hopeful that they can actually play this Callista with the aggressive mindset.
I'm curious what we're going to see here from Monk, because, I mean, they're not actually opting to ban away the Azir in this situation. It's gone through this second rotation as well. And we did talk about, I felt like he had a limited pool. The Chef was picked away, the Tristana was banned, but he should just be able to get his hands on this Azir if he does want it.
I'm a little bit mind blown every time I remember that Varus has no presence right now in this pick ban phase. It's actually incredible to me. It's such a potent champion. Even if you're opting into like 6-7 CS a minute early game, you still hit your spikes because they're just so disgustingly cheap. He has so much control of the lane. He'd fit early aggression on either side. Also want to say the Volibear, if we were talking about early aggression, 100% is up there with it. I would expect a gangplank for coincidence on this, followed by a counter pick onto mid. And there you go. Followed by a counter pick onto to mid, they did not ban Azir. They banned Galio and they banned Elise, which means that they probably feel very comfortable doing TF into a potential Monk Azir, which would be the big comfort thing that's open. Maybe he'll opt into a Corki though, because he can easily go QSS into TF there. It's just going to be the Azir. I'd hope it would be the Azir, because we're talking about early aggression. The Azir is basically the lane dominant one in the Azir v Corki matchup that everyone has lullabied themselves to sleep to recently. So let's see what's going on with last rotation here. It's the jungler. We haven't seen priority on jungle on either side right now. If it's early aggression, it would be Nidalee, though I'm not sure about the damage there. I'd expect to Lee Sin maybe, but no, Graves is down. Kindred
could be Kindred too. Yeah,
I think
could be Kindred.
This is a pick for him specifically.
Oh, it's Lee. There you go. I mean, we really need to do something about the stream delay, because apparently they're just like picking everything I tell them to at this point. I'd be really interested to see the response to that. All of the farming junglers are up, and they have so much set up on mid lane with TF that you have to think 2v2 would be really natural for them at this point, even with the burst coming out of the Lee Sin. We'll see what happens. Even if you just burn mana on WE on Azir early on, it can be very... That is a very good pick. That is an incredibly good pick here. It disrupts literally every single champion on the left. That's actually a Smurf pick if they can make it through early laning phase, which obviously MNM are going to have to try to ensure that they don't. They're going to have to play incredibly aggressive jungle, incredibly aggressive their priorities. But if they don't, every neutral objective, Dusty holds so much control over. It blocks every single champion on the left there. That is such a Smurf last rotation from them, actually.
Yeah.
I think Dusty have just straight won the draft phase, and partly because MNM threw it at them. But, you know, a lot of aggression coming out of MNM here. So maybe they have a shot. Dusty win this, though.
I was going to say, I love the way that he just went from 0 to hero because of that pick, and I do think it's justified too. But at the same time, to go back to what we talked at the start of the day here with MNM going into the Dusty setup, we wanted them to be more aggressive, and there came a lot of aggressive pick just straight up thrown at them. Really good adaptation by Dusty then, who throws in the puppy to it, but it is really what we wanted them to do it, and it does show some form of adaptation, because we did want them to do something different than last week.
Now, very quickly, before I hand to Castus, Dan, what do MNM need to do to actually win here? Because I get the feeling from the analysts that we're favoring Dusty's draft. Can MNM win this? What do they have to do to actually unlock and potentially win this game?
I mean, you just need the early aggression. You've picked a cluster. You need to capitalize on that as soon as possible before the TF is enabled to roam down. You need to potentially put that pressure down on mid so the TF never gets to that point. It needs to just be the sort of game plan we expected from Exile in the last game, except execute correctly on it and never let Dusty get to the point where if they're even in gold with you, when it gets to the mid game, you've lost.
Well, there you have it. That's some strong statements from our analysts. Let's hand over to our casters. Hit Brain and Trouble. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Excandrel. Hello and welcome back to the casting desk. We are getting ready to go into our second game of the day. MNM taking on Dusty. Both of these teams are currently 0-1 in the standings. They're looking for their first win of the NLC. Now, let's have a little talk about this game, Trouble. One of the things when we were talking about this in the break was jungle was something you want to keep your eye on. I mean, I've kind of got that as a general impression from you for our NLC teams. But when I asked you about on the side of MNM, who were you wanting to watch? You told me Aesthetic.
Yeah, 100%. He's very aggressive. He knows how to calculate his aggression. And once you give him, he doesn't need much. Just give him one lane to play through. He can win you games. Obviously not single-handedly. This is what the analyst talked on the desk as well. It was him and him alone in the previous game. Give him one tiny lane he can play through, and I'm pretty sure he can pull the team forward. Now he has an even harder task because he is playing on that Lee Sin. It's not the Graves anymore. He doesn't necessarily scale much into the game, so he has to make the plays happen early, and especially with the draft that Dusty chose to go with. Now, if you go into that late game, oh baby, it's gonna be really, really tough to deal with. I'm glad he picked the Lee Sin. He wants to play this early aggression. You've got a Volibear that is amazing in the early game. You've got a Kalista lane that you can very well play towards with the Nautilus and the point-click dunk on the head anchor right there in the lane. I'm just keeping my eye on this guy because I feel like he is the win condition for MNM right now. So I just want to touch briefly a little bit on the Poppy as well, because veterans seem to get really excited by it. The reason is the W from Poppy is not going to allow any champions to dash in or out of it. That includes Kalista, Azir, and Lee Sin, which, if we're talking about playmaking here and engaging fights, it's gonna have to be aesthetic, diving into the backline, taking someone like the Ezreal or the Twisted Fate into his own team, and being able to generate fights with that R. On the other hand, though, yes, Monk onto the Azir, this is a very, very comfort pick for him. Usually when you will pick the Azir, you want to dominate small places. You want to set up your soldiers and fight from there. You want to be static. And of course, if you're playing against champions that want to come onto you and engage on you, you want to keep them at arm's length with your ultimate. But champions like Yuumi, Ezreal, Twisted Fate and Gangplank don't really mind playing from the distance. You know, the Gangplank has the barrels that can pop down as well as the ultimate. Ezreal and Twisted Fate can poke from a distance. So it's not that necessarily you're going to have to play on top of the Azir and he's going to push you out. So this is going to be another thing that I would like to keep my eye on in the further fights to come.
I was muted. I can't believe I was muted. Sorry, my bad. I was blowing my nose.
I hope I was not talking on top of you. I really hope so.
No. I wasn't muted on Discord. I was muted on my mic. I kind of forgot to do that. I blew my nose and then forgot to unmute. We did see a hook actually land here by Clara onto Jack. He is okay, though. So for the moment, what were the things we were talking about in the Champ Select or for our analyst desk? They were talking about the push and like the aggression from the side of MNM. Up until now, every lane has been hard pushing for MNM. Now, we're 4 minutes into the game, and it looks like some of the resets and the bases coming through, some of these members are feeling a little bit less aggressive right now. Barcode obviously has the wave in a pretty okay place for himself, kind of just holding it here away as Jack will take a hook. Barcode looks to put the damage in. They've got that ignite, they flash forward, the exhaust is on to both of the AD carries. Jack still silenced in place. Barcode gets a fair amount of damage out, but that exhaust and heal barrier and flash used from Jack Spectre and Fiddle. Shell maybe looking for a gank onto Kakan here. Kakan already taking a lot of damage. The flash, wallbang, and first blood picked up for the Poppy. He may just die to the tower shot, though. Just about lives. And now Aesthetic is looking for something.
Yeah, it was very close to the wall right there. I don't know if Aesthetic will be able to turn one around. It would be extremely risky, and I was about to say if the Q doesn't connect, he unfortunately has to give up on the dream. Usually, when you see a Poppy coming at you, you have to move away from the tower. But this was really hard for the Volibear in the top lane because you have the Gangplank in front of you. So it's kind of like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I just love the early aggression. We talked about in our prep as well how Chill really likes to play aggressive. It doesn't matter really what champion he's on. We talked about how Poppy might suffer against the Lee Sin in the early stages. You know, Azir will provide priority for the Lee Sin. The Lee Sin might have the room to work with. But is Chill coming out ahead again in these early stages of the game like we saw last week for Dusty? And I just can't get enough from this guy. It is indeed between the two junglers. But I'll take it one step ahead and say that if Aesthetic has to make something happen, he has to do it now. All 4 summoners burned for the top lane, and Kalira still holding on to his flash. I would love to see a play down that bot side that would then result into that Infernal Dragon that's spawned, and they're pinging it.
Yeah, looks like multiple members are moving down, and that's going to be the Cannon Barrage used. The gold card charged up by Legions isn't actually able to find himself an opening with it, but now it's going to step forward. Aesthetic lands the kick, looks to jump in, gets the slow off of the cripple. They are just going to get some damage down. Monk will force the flash out from Legions, and that will send him packing. MNM used pretty slow and steady turnaround there to get control of the river area, but they still don't really have the wards to play with on that front.
Yeah, you know what they have though? They have a bag for summoners, and so far they've been collecting them one after the other. This is where I would like to see Aesthetic step up and go for the repeat gank, go towards Legions, go towards Dusty's bot lane and punish that. That Infernal Dragon is going to be huge for their early game aggression, for that early game spike, and them snowballing into that mid game before Dusty scales out of control.
Chelm's coming in. They've got the Destiny.
He's not alone.
They're going to get caught out. Everybody's moving forward. That's going to be an easy kill for Jack Spectra. And MNM just lose their AD carry for free.
If I'm not wrong, Aesthetic was also doing Dragon at this point, and Monk was nowhere near mid lane, so there was a little bit of miscommunication right there. All in all, I don't think they're gonna lose too much, unless Dusty wanna try and go for that Infernal Dragon, which I think it would be a little bit risky given that Legends is all the way back in base. So all in all, it is a kill. Very crucially goes to that Ezreal. Give him this money. He's very money hungry for his mana items early on to try and start them to get scaling.
Absolutely. Now you can see MNM switched up 8 minutes on the clock just as the Rift Herald spawns up. Dragon's still alive though, so maybe we'll see a trade of some sort break out here. Does look like Jack Spectra and Fiddle are also making their way up towards the top side, so the early kind of gold injection that this Rift Herald offers and maybe the potential for first turret blood. A little bit too spicy, and both teams are looking to put the priority on this side of the map. As now Chelm looking for something in the mid lane. Monk does have his cleanse available, so he's not going to really be in too much threat of danger here. And MNM, they're just going to start at the Rift Herald. They place the pink down. They know it's going on. Aesthetic is still in his jungle. Now coming over to join up with the rest of the team. And looks like it's just going to be Dusty a little bit too late to the punch on that swap. Didn't have the lane in the right position. And MNM will get their hands on to this Rift Herald.
I do like the decision right here because we talked about the Infernal and how important it is when you want to pop off really early into a game. But how you can also pop off early into a game is by, like you said, injecting all that cash by the Rift Herald booping his head onto a tower and feeding it into one of your teammates. And this is exactly the call that MNM made right here. They're like, cool, we want the Kalista to be very dominant in lane. We need some more extra early game gold onto it. The Azir is going to get there sooner than later. The Volibear and the Kalista would really like to have that. And since Dusty was not quick on the trigger to go for the Infernal, now MNM is again one step ahead. They've swapped their bot lane down bot, and now they're ready to contest the Infernal as well. So all in all, I do like the decision making from MNM. I do like the proactivity in the map, and they seem to be one step ahead for now.
This is exactly what we wanted to see from this draft here for MNM. Early aggression and fast pace. High tempo. The True Shot Barrage will just help leash out onto the Dragon. Whew. As our observer loves to follow. Like a dog chasing a tennis ball, any global skill shot. Aesthetic will be able to get out of the pit with that Ward Hop. So the Cannon Barrage a little bit too low. That's the Cannon Barrage and the True Shot Barrage now burnt.
Both the barrages.
Both of the barrages. And actually, we got triple globals in this game. It's only kind of just occurred to me.
Oh,
what kind of pressure you can put down on map areas from a distance from the side here. Now it looks like MNM maybe looking to see if they can find something into this bot side, although Fiddle now with that final chapter. And Ezreal obviously just being quite slippery as a target to pin down. It might be a little bit harder for MNM to actually find that kind of opening. So Aesthetic actually changes his game plan here and looks to hold towards the mid lane, although Chelm's about, and it looks like Aesthetic maybe just a little bit lost on where he needs to go at the moment here on this Lee Sin. He's got that Rift Herald. You can tell he's itchy to place it, but he's not entirely sure where.
And again, they didn't pull the trigger early enough to try and punish the lack of summoners both in mid and the bot lane. So now they're trying to make new plays happen in case they can get new summoners and then pop the Rift Herald in that advantage. Again, I will agree with you. Aesthetic hasn't looked as clean, but now they're gonna pop the Rift Herald down because they saw Chill show up in the mid lane.
Oh, Monk tried to go for a 1v2, cheeky little outplay there. The Emperor's Divide will miss.
I think he's trying to hold Legions in mid lane to not go down bot. Look at him. He's like chasing them through the rivers like, don't ult.
He's not letting them ult. And this is actually just a bunch of free plates over to MNM's bot side. So to be honest, fair play to Monk. He's able to contain Legions and Chelm at the same time without actually putting himself in any serious danger. Meanwhile, we haven't really taken too much of a deep dive and a look into what's going on the top side. Kakan on the volley bear. You wanted to see it today. You get to see it in your second game. Currently doing okay
very
in the late
boring. Yeah, he plays against a gangplank, man. Come on, it's very boring. He's like playing into arm's length pretty much there. It's kind of a gentleman's agreement, I think you call it, where you kind of like shake hands and you're like, yeah, go late game.
Yep.
Yeah, let's just do that. Not that Volibear is that great in the late game. I'm looking to see what build he's going to just to go for, but I think Monk might be getting dived here.
Monk doesn't have that cleanse. He's looking in. Legions gets the gold card. The wallbang doesn't quite break out. Monk flashes away, but it's way too late. Legion secures the kill.
And it was just enough that space that he was CC'd. He didn't necessarily need to hit the wall for the stun, but it was enough. The gold card into the not the stun. What would you call that? It wasn't necessarily
What, the
a
displacement?
stun.
He was displaced. He was
Didn't necessarily
CC'd.
get displaced. Yeah, sort of CC'd, I guess. Yeah, we'll go with that one. It was enough anyway for Legions and Chilm to put down the pain. And this Poppy's playing very aggressive, and now they're putting the numbers down bottom.
Oh, Legions is coming in. That's going to be the ultimate coming out from Kakan. A lot used by Dusty. Kakan's able to live. The wave's about to die out, and MNM actually just kind of upping the pace themselves. They're now looking to make a play onto Coincidence.
He has
Clara
ult.
does have the ultimate available to him. Coincidence, no ulti for himself. He threw it down in that bot lane, trying to look for a play. Coincidence gets slowed down for the moment, and Aesthetic's closing in. Looks like they're trying to hang him up there for the moment to get himself the kick back into the kill. Chilm will take out Monk, but they also find a kill onto the Gangplank.
Okay,
We just
that
saw the
was-
tail ends of people falling over there.
That was 3,000 IQ from Chilm to go towards mid lane, because every time Legions tries to assist his team and stop something from going down, Monk is right behind him. He's right onto that booty, trying to stop Legions from following through with the global. And Chilm knew that this was going to happen again, so he pulls the gank in the mid lane, knowing that his top laner will be falling down. All in all, the true winner of that is going to be Jack Spectra down the bot lane. He's been cashing in. He's been killing all of these minions under the tower, which means no one will be able to cash in on all of this wave that just died. And not only did he get all this money from the turret platings, but he was also able to take the tower itself. And if I'm not wrong, yeah, it's the first tower of the game as well.
That was the first hour of the game. That, along with all the kills they've got, they've been able to slingshot themselves 3,000 gold in their lead. But we'll have a little look at this play in the top side that we did miss a minute ago. Also mixed up with the bot lane.
Hey, look at that. Chilm is like, oh yeah, you want to stop him? We'll just kill you. And they just trade kills, one top and one bot. On the other hand, remember, sure, the Kalista does cash in on all these turret platings in the top side, but she does share them with two other members, while Jack Spectra was all on his lonesome.
Monk looking to run away here. He gets displaced, he gets gold carded, and Chilm, he's on a killing spree, finds himself the kill nice and easy. Clara has to go golden, but he will crumble. Jack Spectra finds himself a kill. Mid lane has been left exposed, and it looks like MNM, they're not going to be able to defend it. Dusty should be able to pick this one up.
Again, remember, they left the Azir open for Monk. It was a plan. You can't really play against these champions if you are the Azir. They can play you from a distance, they can poke you from a distance, they don't care if you ult them away. And the Poppy W on top of that, so you can't escape, is the icing on top of the cake. So all in all, yes, I do like the MNM aggression, what they're trying to do, but mid so far is falling really, really short. Let's see if Aesthetic will find his way to push the game through other lanes.
And it's nice to see Dusty playing around Legions. Legions had a pretty good split last split over in the Nordics before the NLC was formed. And him and Coincidence are the only two returning members to this Dusty roster from last season. And Coincidence had a really, really standout season for me. There were plenty of games where like Dusty won off the back of everybody losing lane, bar Coincidence. And Legions also had his share of games where everything kind of felt a little off and not in the right place. Legions and Coincidence seem to be the two players who always showed up for Dusty. Now, it's been a bit of a quieter game for Coincidence. He is into that volley bear, like you said. It's a bit of that gentleman's agreement going on there, where they just want to farm up and hit late game. But he has been able to impact the map a little bit with his cannon barrage. But Legions, he's been having a lot of help from Chelm to deal with Monk because they've realized Monk won't let Legions leave lane. So instead, they just stay in the lane and kill Monk instead.
Yeah, it's pretty genius happening right there from Chelm. And
oh, this is a big play, actually. They're using a lot here. Legion's onto that flank, looking for the gold card. Barcode uses the Fate's Call to get his support out of there scot-free. Coincidence chasing onto Monk, but they're not going to be able to find it. The legacy of Shurima, actually enough just to keep MNM alive there. They get the charge off into the mid lane. The tower is low. And there's a lot of locked gold that is just in reach for MNM, but they seem to just be a little bit too far to actually grab it for themselves right now. Chelm has a cat in his pocket. Monk being careful. They do go for the wallbang onto Monk. Monk gets interrupted. Aesthetic slides in onto the back there. Barco's just putting the spears down. Chelm low HP, but they can't really commit anymore. The gold card connects. Legion finds himself the kill onto Monk. Kakan's onto the flank, though. He's looking to leap into the fray. He's got the damage to work with. There's the Stormbringer. There's the double kill. Kakan going to get shielded up by the Sky Splitter for the moment, but he's already pretty low HP. Aesthetic can't do anything but watches his team fall apart. 4 for 1. 4 for none, sorry, in favor of Dusty.
4 for 0 on this Poppy, I'll tell you, because Chelm has been playing this game to perfection. They didn't even need Jack Spectra to be around for that one. They're like, you go up the top lane. We don't actually care about you. Chelm is an actual freaking genius in this game. Aesthetic tries to go in with the Q, instantly blocked, throws him right out of the fight. This is such beautiful play coming in from the collective team of Dusty, because I just want to touch on Coincidence as well. This is to his props that we haven't seen much of him. He's playing on the gangplank. He wants to scale into the late game. He doesn't need to take these fights at any point. So you see, again, here, Chelm stops the Lee Sin from coming in. And then he's like, okay, I'll step back out because I'm not that great health-wise. And then he goes back in to re-engage and make plays for his team. Kakan onto that volley bear. This is what I wanted to touch on. The later in the game we go, the Volibear will fall off due to the fact that he will just not be able to reach the backline. The Ezreal and the Twisted Fate will be safe the entire time. And unless you go onto something like the likes of the Gunblade, which sure, it is better to try and 1v1 in your lane because it gives you a lot of power, but it also gives you the slow to cut someone off. But then on this regard, you could go for the Righteous Fury, Righteous Glory as well. I'm really confused as to why we haven't seen any of that Volibear early game power pop off. And I think this is due to the fact that you mentioned as well, Aesthetic seems to be a little bit lost in the early game here.
Yeah, not even maybe the performance we wanted out of Aesthetic on this Lee Sin. But for now, it looks like MNM are moving over towards this bot side. They're placing the wards down, getting some vision. Cloud Drake spawning up in 40 seconds time. And for Kakan, he's just been hunted down. Has to flash away from the gold card. I was just about to say, if he can get a Cloud Drake, that ability to maybe get onto the backline is there because he'll get the extra movement speed when he launches into the team. But if he just continues to be hunted, it's going to be so hard for him. Aesthetic does land a kick, but onto Chelm, so not really wanting to follow into a Poppy. Monk's able to defend the wave, and this may just be a pretty rough situation as far as the Drake goes, because MNM don't want to go for it. Barcode actually has been caught out. He's putting some damage into Legions, but he's trying to buy some space. They have the vision because of the Destiny, and Legion secures the kill.
And this is going to lead into a very free Cloud Drake as well. Just to follow up, I don't think the Volibear will ever have enough agency or freedom to reach the backline, whether he has the Cloud Drake or not. This is why I feel like MNM a little bit late to the game right now. And even though, sure, we can throw it onto Aesthetic, say, okay, he played a little bit more passive than we wanted to. We said that the win condition for Aesthetic here to be free onto the map was Monk, was giving him the priority. Monk has died 4 times in the mid lane, maybe make it 5.
He's going down. That's going to be the Cannon Barrage. Chelm, unstoppable. 5-0 and 6 on the Poppy. It has just not been Monk's day. And the jungle mid synergy has been flawless from Dusty. I think it's fair to say these two have been playing so well together. Maybe they got caught out a little bit on some of the plays earlier, but they kind of figured out what Monk's game plan was, and they just started playing around that and just shut him down heavily. Got the Medjai's, got the Lich Bane, and got a Roa almost fully stacked up. Jack, Chelm, and Fiddle are just going to start up this Baron Nashor. MNM will spot it out with the Scryers, though. And this may be their moment to look for this fight. The cannon barrage is down. The Destiny is down. They have got Monk back alive and Baron half HP. Aesthetic looking to go in for a flank. Clara being chased down. Baron's been reset. The Fate's Call used by Barco to get his support out of there. Chelmet is onto the flank. They use the true shot. The hook lands onto one. In goes Monk. In comes the rest of the team. Kakan can jump over the wall with that ultimate if he wants to. He decides to think the better of it. They don't have Aesthetic. Aesthetic went for a flank and then had to reset because he was just too far away from the team.
Yeah, and that was a great trigger again from Dusty. They make the decision to go for the Baron. They see Kakan all the way down the bot lane. No TP available to him. They're like, well, if he wants to get here, he's going to have to run. Plus the Azir.
Oh, there's the insect. The final chapter's down. Jack Spectra's going low, but he's still alive. The shutdown as Aesthetic lands the boot to the face. Down goes Jack.
Down goes Jack Spectra. But you gotta think here, what do you really get out of it? Because I don't think Dusty was gonna pull the trigger again for Baron with the whole entire team of MNM being up and available. And of course, sure, you get a little bit of shutdown money onto your Lee Sin, but at this point, I'm not necessarily sure it matters too much to get that gold onto your Lee Sin. I would much rather see it going onto the Azir or the Kalista. He's doing some Michael Jackson stuff, yeah.
Well, we are seeing how the setup for Kalira died. I love these. I actually love our backwards replays. They're one of my favorite things.
It's like everyone's doing what's called the moonwalk from Michael Jackson. Yeah, there you go.
My favorite thing about that was Kakan healing a ward with auto attack. All right, well, this is definitely happening in real time. And Monk, he's going to take the true shot. The Destiny's been used. He has the flash. He has the cleanse, but he has nowhere to go. He might as well just save those summoner spells. He is down. Fiddle secures the kill.
At this point, he's getting kind of bullied. And this is the nature of Azir. You know, you are pretty sort of immobile. If you do use your dash, then you're very susceptible to going down. He uses both of his summoners. He misses the dash and then he dies. And this has been pretty much the name of the game for him the entire time. And Dusty can pull this game all they want, baiting the Baron, because you know what? They have the Yumi. They'll take some damage from the Baron, so what? She will heal it back up.
And it's feeling a little bit like that early aggression, the kind of early momentum that MNM wanted. They just weren't able to execute on it. They tried to play a little bit too much towards the bot side. And Monk just really kind of got hard shut down. Now, Svedic maybe looking to set something up onto Coincidence here. Coincidence's spider senses start tingling, and he's just going to take a bit of a run away from that. Although Dusty still continues to keep their members up around this mid to top lane. They want to try and take this Baron. They want to at least bait MNM into a situation where they can get picked off.
Now, the thing here is that Dusty has a lot of poke available to them as well. So they can start slowly but surely poking down MNM to the point where they're going to back off of their towers, like we saw here as well, and then take the objective and move their vision line a little bit further into the jungle. So you saw now that the tier 2 in the mid lane has gone down. The whole top quadrant of Aesthetics jungle has been lit in red wards. So if MNM wants to contest the Baron that I'm pretty sure Dust is going to run back to after the next dragon, they're going to have to walk through the entire vision and might be getting picked off.
Hey, this is it in real time. There you go.
I like this a lot from Aesthetic. He knows he has to do something. And again, we said the previous game he wasn't able to do it because he was on the Graves. You can't necessarily set up kills like this. But now onto the Lee Sin, he steps up and makes the insect happen. Is it too little too late? Stay tuned.
Destiny's getting used. Kakan's going to use the ultimate to try and get away. They have the final chapter. He's going to get locked in place. The heal, the shield, everything is thrown out. Barrels to boot. Gold card will connect. And Kakan had nowhere to go. Coincidence is on a killing spree. Meanwhile, MNM, they're looking to start up the Baron. The teleport is being used, though, by Coincidence to try and contest. Jack's going to take the Cloud Drake. This is a pretty quick Baron for MNM, so the members need to get here fast. Cloud Drake's been picked up, and MNM, they're going to have to get sent packing. Ulti's going to get thrown down by Chelmet. Only catches onto one. The Shurima Shuffle will connect, and that's Baron picked up for MNM. They now have to make sure they can get out as Clara. He's getting flanked. True Shot Barrage will connect onto multiple members. Clearer is able to actually buy himself some space, and he's able to flash away. Barcode now looking for the turnaround onto members. Aesthetic hops away, gets wallbang, gets the kick. That's going to be the shutdown onto the Poppy. Barcode needs to flank away from Legions, but it gets gold guarded. He's being locked in place. Aesthetic's going to fall. Monk has enough the soldiers in the right position, and Coincidence will just run Barcode down. Barcode trying to get the damage out, trying to hold his life, but it's a double kill to Jack Spectra.
You can take the Baron all you want, Dusty says. All we wanted was just, you know, a way to get in there and try to get the kills, an opportunity for a team fight. They were eating because they just couldn't reach MNM to try and get these kills. Now they were given to them, and I do like the fact that MNM did go for this Baron. They saw 3 members of Dusty down the bot lane. They do pull the TPs as well, but if I'm not wrong, I think they only managed to get Kalira out alive.
Who got out.
Yeah, with the Baron buff, and then they cash in on even more gold. And the more gold they get, the later it goes into the game. That's how much their team is scaling further and further more. The Twisted Fate, the Gangplank, the Ezreal, they're all extremely powerful into the late game. Add a cat onto them, buffing and healing and shielding, and they are pretty much unbeatable. And you saw it right there as well. It was 2 completely split fights. One where MNM actually had the numbers advantage and they weren't even able to win that one. So it's only gonna get harder to go here. 6k gold in between these 2 teams, and there's also a soul on the line in 3 minutes time.
Monk as the one. Oh no, Barcode's dead. Cannon Barrage, he has nowhere to go. You can't get away from Chelm if you're Callista. This is why Veteran really like this pick. Meanwhile, they are looking for a play onto Legions, but Legions is just doing too much damage. He has Jack at his back. He has the Kitty Cat as well. Yuumi able to put down the ultimate, and it's just a double kill for Jack Spectra. It's just falling apart for MNM.
I think it's just desperation plays, trying to get something going. Monk dives in to get the ultimate onto Legions, if I'm not wrong. But the second you walk into them, again, they want to play into arm's length. So get them into distance all you want. It doesn't matter whether they're on the right or on the left side of your ultimate, they're still gonna kill you.
Well, 2 inhibitors down. Dusty with a man advantage. 5 versus 3. Actually do back off. They want to pay a little bit of respect here for MNM. Cloud still spawning up in 2 minutes time. They got a lot of gold from those picks. And it looks like they are just going to go for a bit of a reset here now.
I'm just looking at the Magi's, man. 25 stacks, a Death Cup, and a Leech Bane. I think the only one that will not hurt might be... maybe the volley bed, just because she's a little bit more chunky than the others and has the stats in there. He has the helm as well, the extra magic resist. The others look very yummy targets for Legions to just land on and drop the yellow card, and the only one with the QSS will be Barcode. So all the others are very susceptible to going down from that hard CC.
Every time a Destiny comes out, you know Monk's gonna die. That gold card did so much damage, and Legion's now looking to hunt the members down. True Shot Barrage will connect onto multiple members as they use Barcode's ultimate to try and buy some space, buy some opportunity to get away.
That's the
They're
wrong
actually
way.
just gonna split. Barcode is gonna be hunted down by Coincidence. The exhaust as well. Barcode just doesn't have the damage, doesn't have the ability to kite that, and he will just get picked up. Meanwhile, they have the volley bear off in the top lane. Kakan's gonna try and take some waves, but I feel like Dusty may just close the game out here. They've got all of their members grouping up. They've got the super as well up with them.
The 2 wave
It's only
clears are
Aesthetic,
gone.
it's only Kakan. The wave clearers, like you said, are dead, and it looks like Dusty may just be able to close out the game. The ultimate comes down, bot clearer out of there, but Chelm going for some glory kills. The Aesthetic will get taken out. Monk just getting chunked out as well. Kakan will be locked down by the final chapter as he is just sent packing. Dusty, 30 minutes on the clock, looking so clean. 11k up, close the game out versus MNM.
I just love the way Dusty's playing overall. They know exactly where the reconditions lie, where their item breakpoints lie, how they want to play the game. Add Chilm into the equation where even if you give him Soraka jungle, he's just going to invade you, he's just going to gank you, and he's just going to repeatedly kill you. It took them maybe one time of Monk chasing down Legions to figure out that every time Legions would try to ult, Monk would just blindly chase him into Fog of War. And every time they tried to pull a play like this, Monk would get instantly punished by Chelm. You saw the Poppy invading, you saw the Poppy ganking. He was everywhere, and it looked like a very, very, very cohesive game, and it looked like a very clear game plan that Dusty had in their mind. On the other side, for MNM, I'm loving the draft, I'm loving the picks. I think the execution might need a little bit more polishing.
Yeah, I think they had a good game plan. They played out like the first 5 minutes pretty well, maybe even to the first kind of 10-minute mark. But then after that, it just felt like Dusty had their number. And Dusty obviously had a very back and forth game versus Tricked last week. That wasn't back and forth. That was clean. That was controlled. And we really saw that Dusty are putting their name forward as, one of our stronger teams. And for MNM, that means they now go 0-2. They're really going to have to work hard to bounce back. But with that, guys, we are going to cut to a quick break. And when we're back with the analyst desk and an interview. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you after this break.
Okay, guys, was that really as bad as it looked?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think we talked about this before we went in the game. We said how MNM very much had to put the pressure on. We said it was potentially a good idea when you're not certain where your strengths lie. Just try aggression and see how far that gets you. We knew that it worked particularly well against Dusty in their previous matchup against Tricked. And I mean, one of the teams was aggressive here. Unfortunately, it was a team with the skill and composition, and they just completely dominated from there on out. Monk in particular was a highlight for me, but for the wrong reasons. And it was rough to see. I have to say, though, Dusty, there were shining moments in their game against Tricked, but I like just seeing a sort of complete package here. I think Legions, who I would say had the worst game against Tricked, looked really on point here with the TF, was constantly a driving force and sort of forcing plays for his team. And hopefully this is sort of a sign that they are going to be able to match up to the other teams in the group, because with MNM, I really don't see how they can do so without some massive changes.
Yeah, and honestly, the bot lane was looking a lot better too today. I felt like last time had some issues, especially playing against that Thresh. I don't feel like Fiddle looked too hot on his Lulu, but today when he's on a champion where he can literally just stick to another champion, he doesn't have to worry about those things. And the bot lane was obviously fine against this time. They had some issues in the early game against Kalista Nautilus, only expected from that. But then you solidify the team composition with Twisted Faith and the Poppy, and that just made matters worse. He was just able to completely, they were just, my mistake, that they were just able to completely dismantle that game from beginning to end.
It's kind of admirable how much they kept the map split for the duration of the game. I feel like a lot of other more undisciplined teams would have just been ramming it down as 5 in mid lane, and we may have even seen the game stalemate at points. But this team recognized that what they really needed to do was get first on objectives. And if they got first on objectives, it was impossible for their opponents to ever meet them. They have to get through the Poppy. They have to get through the Umeed Poppy and the TF stuns. They have to get through the Gangplank barrels. They have to get through so much. As long as you're first on, there's nothing they can do. The beauty of this composition is even if you're not first on, just hit the Twisted Fate R and you can face check literally anywhere on the map now. So this composition had everything going for it. Obviously, there were some skill discrepancies in execution as well. I agree that Kalhira stepped up on the bot lane, but overall, this was incredibly one-sided from draft onwards. About 8 minutes in, I figured why even bother watching anymore? If they're not monster ahead at this point, they're not going to be able to do anything, and they were 3k gold down.
Well, I mean, it did look one-sided even from my sort of lay eyes, but we do have Fiddle standing by, ready to chat about that game. And firstly, Fiddle, I'm going to try this and say it the best I can. Tuluga.
Oh, tack.
No, obviously, happy birthday as well, because it is apparently your birthday today. So first question is, how did it feel having a day off on your birthday?
It was really good. Like, I could spend like 2 hours with my family, and then all of a sudden I was like, yeah, guys, see ya.
And obviously playing Yuumi is very relaxing, of course.
Yeah, it's very, very chill. I mean, I got a nice birthday present, like this win, so.
Yeah, of course,
cool.
It's a good win for you guys, and obviously a nice end to your day, rather, and hope you had a good day as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, last week, that was a tough game for you versus Tricked. I mean, it was a game that realistically was in your hands and kind of slipped away. What was it like for you guys bouncing back from that? And how did you recollect your thoughts following that game to make sure you were coming in well prepared for today?
I mean, I think we got taken a bit like pants down with the Pantheon. So we didn't really account for the hard commit pressure they would be able to put into bot lane. And we didn't really respect it as much. But we knew that eventually we would be able to outscale, because if we would just peel back, then we'd always win the team fights. But there was some unfortunate events where we like TP to the Drake, and when I get hooked at Baron, and obviously I don't want to win. Oh.
It's okay though. Obviously, you guys managed to come back very strong for this game, and I would talk to you about it, but it just looked like it was a complete stomp. Realistically, you just absolutely crushed from the very get-go, and just shows how strong you are. And with that, a lot of people have been talking about the top 4. We saw Riddle just beat XL. A lot of people have kind of mentioned that the top 4 would be Fnatic, XL, Riddle, and I believe Monster Rugby Gaming. Where do you see yourselves, in respect to that, and how do you see yourselves stacking up against the sort of the teams that most people seem to be calling the top 4?
I mean, I do believe there's like a clear top 4, there's a clear middle, and there's a clear bottom right now. But I think since we have Veigar's coach, like he's fucking smart about the game. So we all learn a lot, and I think everyone in the team, their mindset is mind blowing to me. Like everyone just want to improve. Everyone, like even after the trick game, like there's like obviously some people who did worse, but like everyone is just saying I could have done this and this instead. So for me, that's just winner mentality, and because of that, I believe we would be competitors for like top 3 probably by the end of the season.
Yeah, if you keep playing the way you are, then potentially see it go that way. Obviously, fantastic to talk to you, Fittle. Thank you so much for joining us, and I wish you luck on all of your future games.
Thank you.
All right, guys, I'm not going to give you too long here because we do have to go to a quick break, avoiding the casual F-bomb that my boy Fittle dropped.
It's in the bar.
Do you guys agree with that assessment? Very quickly, I'll just ask you, Gulbug, especially because you are from the sort of the Nordic scene. Do you agree with the assessment that they're a potential top 3 contender here?
I mean, if they keep the form like this, I do believe if they keep improving, yes, they can possibly be a top 3 contender. But it's going to take a lot hard work, and I don't think they're at the spot yet, but I do feel like they're so close.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, guys. That is game 2 wrapped up. We're going to be going to a quick break, and when we're back, we will move over to our 3rd game of the day, which will be Trick versus Barrage. See you soon.